Hey guys, my name is Conway, and I've been playing D&D for about 10 years now. I've also been playing as a DM for about 2 years, and in today's video, I want to give a spoiler-free review of the module Call from the Deep, which is a third-party module that you can pick up off of the Dungeons Master Guild. I will definitely leave a link to that in the description below so you can check it out if you like to. And essentially, what I want to do in this video is give, like I said, a spoiler-free review, but also go over the pros and the cons with the module. As overall, I think it's a great module. However, there are some drawbacks that I think are important to discuss, especially if you're a newer dungeon master and you're thinking about playing this module. So without further ado, let's hop into the video and get into everything. So what is Call from the Deep, and where can you get it if you want to buy it? So Call from the Deep is a module that takes your characters from levels 1 through 12. Takes place off the Sword Coast, mostly on the Sea of Swords, as this is a naval-based module for the most part. As your characters level from 1 through 12, the module itself is split up into 5 different chapters. And throughout these chapters, they will be battling pirates, um, sea creatures, exploring underwater cities, and then all the while dealing with a outer world threat, if you will, which is pretty easy to guess what that is if you just look at the front of the module. However, with that being said, overall, this is a great campaign as it lets your players explore everywhere from up and down the Sword Coast, all the way from Icewind Dale, all the way down to Candlekeep. So there's a lot of potential for this campaign wherever your players decide to take it, and there's a lot of things that can be done with this module itself. However, there are some drawbacks to the module. So what I have decided to do is go through a pros and cons list to kind of highlight the good and the bad that comes with the module. That way, if you decide that you want to play it as a player, or if it's something that you want to run as a dungeon master, hopefully my guide can help you make the best educated decision that you can make. So for the first pro, I got to start with the BBEG. It is completely unique and so badass. I've never seen it in any other campaign I've ever played as a player or ran as a dungeon master. It's one of those things that whenever your players finally figure out, or you as a player finally figure out who or what the BBEG is, you're gonna shit bricks. It's insane. So that is definitely my favorite pro, one of my favorite pros, I should say, for this module. The second big pro of this module is the fact that you can, like I said, you can go all the way from Icewind Dale down to Candlekeep. So you as a player or you as a DM can explore so many different territories and just come up with so many different side quests, personal quests, homebrew, whatever you want to do with all these various locations. And essentially, it covers, as I said, the entire Sword Coast. So obviously, you have Neverwinter, Baldur's or Waterdeep, and Baldur's Gate, and your players can explore these 3 cities. And if you have other modules such as Waterdeep Dragon Heist or Descent to Baldur's Gate, Descent to Avernus, like I do, you can help supplement that for the module, and add more detail and more quests and more NPCs and stuff like that. The third big pro for me is the naval combat and the fact that this module, since it takes place on the on the ocean, it really allows unique and niche subclasses such as the Fathomless Warlock or the Circle of the Land Druid to really shine, unlike other modules. So it really offers you yourself as a player or as a DM, your party. It offers them a really nice chance to try out some classes or subclasses that they normally just would not try. So I really love that too about this module. I will say with the ship combat, it can get pretty chaotic if you just follow the basic player handbook rules. So I would suggest checking out Limithron's Guide to Naval Combat, which is a really good rule set. It's a light rule set, nothing crazy, but it'll help you run combat smoothly as a dungeon master, because otherwise things will get a little bit crazy. It's free, it's on Reddit, and I'll make sure I leave a link in the description so you can pick it up if you want to. And the way that the campaign is set up itself, you can run it as a linear campaign. However, I would not suggest running it as a linear campaign personally. I would do more of a mix of a sandboxy linear kind of thing, just because there's so many places for your players to go. You don't really want to railroad them into, just doing this, and this. Because if you let your players, use their imagination and go wild, all kinds of crazy shit can happen. Like my players, I mean, they've been to Avernus, they've met storm giants, they've done all kinds of crazy stuff. So definitely let your players just kind of go with their gut and let them, go the win. Now, since we have done the pros, time to do the cons. So first con, there are barely any maps that come with this module, and the ones that do are pretty bad. They're colorless, very bland, and just not fun. So if you do choose to run this module, you're going to need to pick up some colored, I would suggest colored maps personally. You're going to need to pick up some maps from some different websites. There's websites like Incarnate, Describe. There are a few Patreons that you can subscribe to get maps. There's all kinds of places you can find maps online. So though it can be a pain, it is, to me, in my opinion, it is worth it in the end. So for the second con, the lack of information that they give you on these locations, though it's great that, they have all these different locations you can go to. And I understand why there's not too much information on them, because it's, a small, I think it might have just been one guy, but I know it's a small company that made this module. So I can understand why there's not a lot of maps. However, it can be frustrating having to pull up maps middle of the session, just because your players want to go to a place that, there's not a map for, and there's not a lot of detail for. So you really gotta use your imagination as a dungeon master to fill in the lack of information. And I have a tip for that that I'll share at the end of the video that I've found is extremely helpful for running this module, and your players will love it, I promise. So the last con for this module is the fact that if you're a newer DM, this is gonna be a struggle to run this campaign. Just all the homebrew and the mixing and blending of other source materials that you're going to need to do to make things run smoothly and make the story really engaging. It takes a lot of work. It definitely does. I'm not a crazy prepper. I only spend an hour, or no, I spend more than an hour. I spend about an hour and a half, 2 hours prepping maps, coming up with a plot line, NPCs, stuff like that. Some people do a lot more prepping, some people do a lot less. Let me know how much prepping you do in the comments below, because I'm generally curious to see how much prep work other DMs do. Maybe I'm a lazy DM. But yeah, so you'll need a lot of prep, and you'll need a lot of homebrew to make this thing really shine. But I promise you, if you stick to it and you have fun with it, you can make this campaign unforgettable. All right, so for my final thoughts, do I think that this campaign is worth playing as a player or running as a dungeon master? Absolutely. This campaign is awesome. Do I think that this campaign is worth running as a newer dungeon master? Definitely not. I think that you will struggle unless you're just willing to put in hours and hours of prep work to make this thing run smoothly and to make the campaign, really fun for your players. What's really helped me with running this campaign, and what my players have really enjoyed, I believe, so far, is the fact that I'm using this campaign not by itself, but I'm mixing it in with some other source material. So I'm using this with Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Call from the Deep Descent to Avernus. And the reason why I'm doing that is because on the Sword Coast, you have your three big cities Neverwinter, Waterdeep, Baldur's Gate. And Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Baldur's Gate Descent to Avernus gives you a lot of information on these cities, and lets you really make them a focal point for the campaign if your players are from the city or if they have relationships there or whatnot. And what I've been doing is using mostly Waterdeep because it's a very large city. There's a lot to do there. Um, and essentially, what I'm going to do is once my players are finished with this, once they've gone from levels 1 through 12, I'm going to use a mixture of Waterdeep and Descent to Avernus to basically help them go from this campaign to our next campaign, which is 12 to 20, where we'll be doing Chains of Asmodeus. So if you're going to run this campaign, I would really suggest using a mixture of other modules and kind of throwing it in there. That way you can make up for the lack of detail that the campaign itself gives you on these locations. So all in all, yes, I think this module is great. And if you're an experienced DM or if you're a player who wants to play a pirate themed campaign, I would definitely check it out. It's really amazing. And yeah, thanks guys.